Hi there, welcome back to Your Money in Real Estate. I'm with the exciting and effervescent Ian Sabo. We're going to talk a little bit about mortgages and the exciting world of investing. We're going to take renovations aside here. But Carmen, hi, how are you? How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I don't know if you heard, but we're talking to Ian here. We're getting into renovations and refinancing probably and getting our hands dirty. But I know that you've probably always got some great news or interesting news on the world of mortgages and investing.
Yeah, well, I have some interesting news, I should say, based on bank financing, and banks are tightening up even more. It's become more and more difficult today to get mortgages on residential properties than it has ever been. They're reducing loan to values on lines of credit down to 65%. Basically, the banking scenario is become very, very challenging.
So, Carmen, why do you think that is? Is that stemming out from Mark Carney's attitude that he wants to tighten up on homeowners, or what's driving the tightening of the mortgage market?
Well, my personal opinion, and what I'm seeing and reading is that Flaherty's new mortgage rules that he keeps implementing are mandating that all the banks change their criteria. And, we're down to now, if anyone is self-employed and you do not show on your notice of assessments confirmable income, you're going to have a really tough time getting a mortgage. There's very few lenders out there left that will do an equity-type deal, which means non-confirmable income and something that you state that you make. And that was something that a lot of us relied on for many years because a lot of us investors are business owners. And we actually have good, stable income, but through our companies, and we don't show it on our personal income tax returns. So it becomes a big challenge. So this is the problem, really.
And, we're, as I mentioned, we're talking about renovations, and I think there's a lot of viewers out there that probably would like to do some renovations, but they don't know how to finance a renovation. They don't want to sell the property, but they probably just want to, refi or somehow get a credit line going. Would that be a tough thing? I think I heard you say 65% loan to value, but walk us through a little bit about the process of, refinancing a property to do a renovation.
Investor. Hello?
Yeah. Did you hear that?
Yeah. No, I didn't. Sorry.
Okay. I was just saying that we're talking about renovations and doing renovations, and some people, they want to finance a renovation, but they don't know how, or they're saying, well, how can I get the money to upgrade and I guess, increase the value of my property? Yeah.
If you're a person that has income and it's a salaried position, or you can prove it on your notice of assessments through your corporation, that shouldn't be a problem. Lines of credit have been reduced down to 65%. Wow. So if that's the scenario where you show your income, you're okay. If you're self-employed and you don't show your income, we're going to have to resort to alternative financing, which is either the selected few equity lenders that we do have in the industry, or private money, which is really the direction today that the banks are pushing us into. And we do have access to a lot of private money. There might be a little bit more of a cost of borrowing, which is the cost of doing business. But I recommend highly to anyone out there that is in a position that needs funding, that needs to refinance, that can't right now because of their position or owning too many properties, that private funding is the answer for you. Don't stop doing what you're doing and having the opportunity to make money because the banks are turning you down. Private money is available. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rates might be a bit higher, but there's a lot more flexibility there. We're focused strictly on the asset. I mean, right. A person's individual credit and net worth does have a role in that. But if the property is stable, we have a lot of lenders that will lend up to 85% regardless of your income, personally.
Carmen, that's I'm supposing then that anyone out there watching can probably give you a call, because if they've been turned down at the bank, if they want to do a renovation, or if they want to look at buying a property, I know that you've got, as you mentioned, a lot of private lenders where, turning someone down, especially an investor, because I think that's what you specialize in, obviously. So we're going to have to say goodbye till next week. But I just want to mention that anyone want to give you a call, the number's up there now, and give Carmen a call, because she can make a deal fly, and that's probably why she's on this show. So thanks for the call, Carmen. We'll talk later.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So Ian,
Yes.
we're now going to be getting into part of the show that I always say is the most exciting part of the show, which is getting into some numbers, or getting into, I guess, we were talking about the scope of work.
Yes.
And that can be a daunting thing. We were during the break, I was talking about developing, and obviously the planning is the foundation of what we're doing. And
Yes.
and the word I wanted to use, or the topic I want to talk about, which is, we're going to call it change of use, because a lot of people seem to forget that real estate values are based on change of use.
Absolutely.
Right? And what you're doing, like what we're talking about, instead of buying a property, you're saying, let's take an existing property. Obviously, someone had a vision for this piece of land, but you now say, you know what? I got a new vision. I'm going to change the use of this land.
Absolutely.
And that's how values are increased. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Absolutely. You're
Okay.
absolutely right. And it's interesting that you say that, because most people think about flipping houses or getting into real estate investing as, well, if I just get a good deal, I can make money.
Yeah.
Well, it has nothing to do with the deal. It has to do with what the deal can equal, or what it can be turned into, or what you're allowed to turn it into.
Right.
And how you're prepared, educated-wise, to be able to turn this into a reproducible business. Because anybody can find one flip and make money, but try doing it 25 times.
Yeah.
Try doing it 30 times. It's not a viable business unless you can reproduce it. And the only way, in my opinion, you can reproduce something is be educated in that specific need. I buy houses in R2 areas in Whitby. I buy houses in Whitby that are run down, that are grow-ops, hoarder houses, because I know I can turn them into a duplex or a triplex.
Well, when during the first part of the show, you mentioned you walk in by yourself, you don't want to be distracted, and you use the keyword that we agreed upon, which is vision. You say,
Absolutely.
okay, here is the vision that's going to change the use, which takes me to the next step, and this is really what I want to talk about, is execution.
Most important by far.
Okay, and execution is something that I talk about daily, because it's easy to go. I mean, it's easy. Most people love to say, "Oh, I got a great idea for this piece of land. I got a great idea for this house. I got a great idea to change this kitchen." Execute on that profitably.
Exactly.
Is the key. And to make execution work, I think the big thing we want to talk about, which is the scope of work, the planning.
Scope of work is probably the biggest thing. I could teach 3 to 4 days just scope of work. And it's the difference between me making money, me losing money, my students being successful, and them not being successful. Because in that scope of work, if I don't know clearly where I'm going, I am going to be distracted by my friends, my family, my wife, everybody. If I'm in a bad mood that day, instead of painting the wall this color, maybe I should paint it red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need boundaries, and the scope of work keeps me when I start veering.
But when we talk about scope of work, like renovating a bathroom, renovating a kitchen, knocking out walls, re-engineering, load-bearing walls, that can be daunting.
Absolutely.
For a guy. So how would someone who with no experience go about and say, you know what, I like what this guy's saying, I'm going to put my plan together. How does he start? Where does he start?
Okay, so the first thing you're going to start with, and here's the biggest problem in the industry, because there's nobody in the industry besides, if you look at a general contractor, this gentleman or lady wears 50 different hats: designer, engineer,
right,
reporter, whatever, paperwork. They go through the whole stream of this. Their scope of work is vague. So it's really, really important. There's nobody that teaches scope of work. If I just started a business and said, I'm going to teach you scope of work, you're going to save a lot of money, and it's going to be a good day. How you start is, what am I building? I start at the very end, and I work my way backwards.
Okay. So I like that. So you start at the end.
So, for example, the property that I purchased recently, it's single family, 2-bedroom, rundown 1920s house. People hate it. But I know that I can put a 1,400 square foot addition. So when I brought my students there to look at it, they're like, this is brutal. This place is crazy. I don't know why you bought it. But they don't understand the vision. The vision is, I'm turning this into a rental. I'm not turning it into $1 million house.
Right.
I'm doing nice features. I'm doing basic paint, basic trim, nice design features. But what I also do in the scope of work is I distract them. And this is key. I design for middle-aged women. That's what I do. Okay. They buy all the magazines.
Should I put that as step 2?
Yes.
So you start. Okay. All right.
Sorry if it's maybe politically incorrect, but it's true. Middle-aged women watch all the TV shows on design. They buy all the magazines. Let's be realistic. My target audience is a middle-aged woman that wants to come into the property.
Okay.
So I design them, a little bit away from scope of work right now, I'm sorry, but when I design them, I'm adding features they would never expect. So I'm renting a 1,200 square foot apartment for $1,400 in Whitby. I have waffle ceilings with recessed crown molding with rope lights. So at night, the whole ceiling glows.
Okay.
I do wainscoting on the walls out of chair rail, not out of wood. I do chair rail boxes, and I spray them.
Okay, just to, because you're talking about so many things, and I know some of our viewers, I don't want them to get confused. We're trying to establish scope of work because it is the foundation of a successful renovation.
Yep.
The part that the number one rule is we start with the end, which is what is it exactly what our vision is, which is tied to the change of use. Your second step is build it or design it for a middle-aged woman. And
yes.
You're elaborating on that because middle-aged women are the ones that are the most common viewers of...
Well, normally they're going to make the decision. When they come into a rental or a place that I buy, they're going to see that ceiling, and every other place...
You know what? That's the word, decision maker.
Every other place they see, it doesn't matter if it's $300 more, my place, they will take it because they will never see another place like it. So it imprints in their brain, my family is... Because women... Their home is their nest.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
They're bringing their friends and their family into the house, and their family and friends are going to say, this place is killer, I love it. It's worth the extra $200.
Right.
They're thinking memories. Guys are thinking, okay, this is cool.
I'll
write a check. So once I've determined that, it's easy to kind of work backwards. Now, I add these key features to distract them from the main part of the project, which is, I don't want them walking around looking, oh, what about this and what about this touch-up? Because this is where renters and people that are investors have big problems. Can you come and repaint my whole place?
Yeah.
They don't do that
because
they're looking and they're distracted by other elements.
I don't mean to cut you off because
okay.
we're getting into
excited.
we're both getting excited. We're getting right into the heart of the scope of work, and I want to address that. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on Your Money in Real Estate.